Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello.
Now go back line. Go back online.
Okay.
Uh, are we back? I think we're back.
Can't tell.
Yeah, we're back live now.
Are
Yeah,
you? Are
yeah, yeah,
we?
we're back live. Ah, annoyed. We're annoyed. Yeah, working now. Geraldine, you can hear us? Can you just give us a message? Give us a thumbs up or something?
Can they see us as
Yeah, I
well?
think so. Geraldine. Timo says, yep, you're back. Yang Kwang, give us a thumbs up sign. Ah, technology, I tell you.
Okay, I definitely have a lag because I'm not seeing any of those new comments.
Can refresh it. Luke! Luke! Hey, Luke! Luke is in.
I can't see any of this. Okay, I don't know who's going on. Okay, and I'm not seeing both of us on my screen.
Now?
Okay, yeah, that's good.
You don't see my face, you miss me, is it? Okay, we are telling. Anyway, everyone, sorry about the tech glitch. Something happened and then we stopped streaming. But I think we should be okay now as long as I don't toggle with anything. I'm gonna stay off the mouse. Yeah, back to what you were trying to tell us. Did I interrupted you halfway when you were trying to explain the last week's show?
No, we'll just. I mean, for those of you who haven't had a chance to watch our first Ghost-Mortem, yeah, please go back and look at that. Once again, it was a very interesting piece called "Take Off Your Clothes." Exciting title, which is why Eugene liked it so much. And very exciting premise, unexpected. I think quite a unique piece, lah. And very well acted, and quite a few very familiar tropes, like the looking through the peephole and the mysterious sound inside the house, and some very imaginative lighting as well. So I think artistically very good.
Mm.
So lots to talk about that one. Tonight's one is different because it's simpler. I think very a lot of familiar things, but I think executed so well.
Mm.
So it's quite a masterpiece in its own way. So we can talk a lot about that later. Lots of familiar gimmicks as
Sure.
well, which I think are quite enjoyable. You know,
I
uh,
watched it. I liked it quite a bit, and well,
yeah, you really jumped
I
at it
can't
actually
wait to
because
show you guys. Shall we, John? Are we
can
good?
can
Okay, guys,
yeah.
hang in there. We are gonna watch this movie together. This movie is called Unanswered. Check it out and leave your comments together with us. Let's go.
Yeah. Hello, Travis.
Hey, it's Travis. I'm not at the phone right now, so leave me a message and I'll get back to you. Bye.
Hey man, it's getting pretty late, so I was just wondering where you are, if you're coming home or not. There are a few more slices of pizza in the fridge, but yeah. Call me back when you get this, alright? How did that? Hey, Mom. Yeah, I'm good. Um, So there was a vase in the living room, and I don't know how it fell, but it just shattered like a few seconds ago. And no, I'm okay. No, yeah, no, he's not home. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna call the police. Look, it'll be okay. Never mind. It's probably just tipped over or something. I don't know, but I'll be good. No, yeah, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, love you too. Bye bye.
Hey, it's Travis. I'm not at the phone right now, so leave me a message and I'll get back to you. Bye.
Hey man, we just had a power outage or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I really want you to call me back as soon as you can. Scared the hell out of me. But yeah, just when you get this, please give me a call.
there?
Travis? What the hell? Why haven't you answered my calls? Where have you been?
What? I've been home since like 10. I thought I'd have a shower. I didn't know you were home. Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, I'm alright. I just heard some noise and I got scared. Hello?
Hey Mark, it's Travis. I just tried to call you just a second ago, but you didn't hear me, so. But anyway, I'm on my way home now. Save me some of that pizza in the fridge, okay? Mark? Are you there? Hello? Hello?
And how do you like it?
How was it?
How do you like it? You guys like that one? I hope you like it because I liked it quite a bit.
I've watched it so many times, and I still love it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So what are some of your thoughts? Let's go check out the comments. Well, we have the ghost probably smells fresh now after the shower. Reminds me of the scene from Shutter. Thomas Adim said, which part? Which part about the scene from Shutter? Can't remember.
Earlier, Luke talked about how the shadowy ghost looked a bit like it's out of Del Toro.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and that's something we can talk about later.
Okay.
You know. Yeah.
Oh, there's some other requests from you guys who's asking for things like friend requests, lights on. I think people just like lights off. That's like one of the fan favorites, right?
Because it was one of the only short films that became a feature film, right? And made the director quite famous, you know.
Esther Tan says, I got a feeling he is the ghost instead. Good try. Okay, so we've got your comments. Now, how about hearing ours?
Yeah.
Ready?
And keep commenting, keep commenting,
keep your comments coming in, guys.
Okay, commentary time. Again, I'm struck always by the use of lighting.
Yeah.
You know, you can see straight away that shadow and light are going to be very important in this film.
And this movie don't take too long to start scaring you already. Straight away.
Yeah. Straight away you're staring at the doorknob. Shit. Ah! You know?
But this particular horror trope plays much more on the intruder horror.
Yes. Yeah, so this could be the beginning of your standard home invasion, right? And of course, it's always opening fridge.
Travis, I'm not
in every horror movie, people are snacking all the time.
And I
Hey
think
man,
this
it's
kind of
getting pretty late, so I was
this
just
kind of
wondering
intruder horror,
where you
right,
are
is
if you're coming home
more
or not.
effective in a
There are
movie
few
like
more
this
slices of
when
pizza in the fridge,
you have
but yeah.
a much
Call me back when it gets, alright?
bigger house to move around.
Yeah, of course.
You get
of
a
course.
3-room HDB
An
flat in
intruder and a
Singapore,
HDB
not
flat.
scary.
I must mention that it's an interesting choice of protagonists, right? Because you've got instead of a blonde white female,
A blonde white man.
you have a blonde white male, you know, but he's not too hero. He's actually quite fragile,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes is a little bit feminine. So it's a very interesting play on, again, a very classic trope, right? Woman at home alone, right? So it's nice. And I have to say that one of the things that made me like this film a lot is that the actor is very, very good.
Yeah, I'm good.
You know, a lot of films
so
are ruined by
there's a
them
vase in
overplaying
the
fear.
living room and
The thing is,
I don't know how
for
it
horror,
felt,
you
but
got to
it
have a very
just
good actor.
Shattered like a few seconds
Yeah.
ago.
You know, and you can see his fear
No, I'm okay.
growing
Yeah.
by degrees
No, he's not home.
rather than in jumps.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna
You know,
call
and
the police.
he's trying to
but I'll-
rationalize rather than just
it'll be
freaking
okay.
out.
Never mind.
You know, I can
probably
imagine a
just-
lot of
just
other
kill her or something. I don't
other
know,
actors
but
by
I'll be
now
good.
already screaming.
And remember
when they see
the
the
last
yeah.
one we watched, the last week one?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
She was texting
Yeah.
instead of calling.
Yeah.
Now this guy,
Correct.
first thing he saw, he was a bit spooked
What?
out. He picked up the phone and he called.
So he's more sensible, much more sensible, right? Much more practical. And in fact, it's a horror film in which he never screams. The whole film, he never screams once.
And this is the part
You know?
where I felt the director felt a very strong need to have a very an ethic scene.
Yeah.
Because he's here to pick
Yeah.
up a box with a gun. And
Yeah.
you would imagine he'll keep it maybe in a cupboard or somewhere, you can reach.
Oh wait, look out for this! Look out for this! Good moment coming.
This is my
I screamed so hard. The juxtaposition is so good because here he is getting himself armed and ready, but he's so not ready.
Yeah.
You know, he's arming himself for the wrong thing, right?
Because he doesn't know, but the audience know.
Yeah. And I mean, from his point of view, it's probably an intruder, so get a gun, right?
Yeah.
And mom helped because mom said, do you want to call
And
the
he says,
police,
no.
right? And he says, no, I'm not going to call the police.
But that is a
So
very
it's
natural
clearly-
reaction for a lot of us because when we are not sure about what the horror is or the danger is, we don't
Yeah.
want to jump to conclusion and just call the police directly.
Correct.
But he obviously feels fearful enough to want to go and investigate.
Yeah. So it's nice because he's reacting practically and sensibly rather than reacting like he's in a horror film,
Yeah.
right? So that's rare. I think there's a lot of restraint in this, And he's not a fearful character, you realize?
He is vulnerable, he doesn't look heroic, but at the same time, he's not helpless.
Yeah, he's investigative, He's ready to pop a cap in any intruder.
So it's very believable.
Check.
This part is very believable.
Yeah, he checks every room like someone who's obviously watched a lot of crime drama, knows how to handle the gun.
Alvin said it looks like a bad Tinder date.
I like his look of fulfillment. So and you notice it's very silent now. Very silent.
Oh,
Brilliant.
this got me, man.
Right? The sudden burst of music just at the right
Yeah.
time.
And the thing is, he isn't as afraid as us because he doesn't
Yeah,
know.
I love
And
that.
as audience, we are more afraid than him.
I mean, it's called dramatic irony, right? Where the audience is so aware of something that should affect the character, but the character doesn't
Yeah.
know. It's brilliant, right? So much dramatic irony.
And must be at the toilet because, toilet lah. Hantu always on the toilet.
Earlier, I was saying to Eugene how they're very good at making sure that every room he steps
This
out
part,
of.
check it out. The mirror,
Ah,
it just gives
Yep.
you enough hint that something's going to pop out because it plays on your fear of mirrors and then just moves away.
and then, yeah.
And this part is where, you put someone in a very claustrophobic place, they have no way to run away.
So you see, okay, those of you who watch Lights Out, you will imagine that something should have happened then, but again, nothing, right? So it's a film that plays on missed opportunities a lot,
And all the fear so far that you've been
Travis,
feeling, other than
I'm
the
not at
leg
the phone right now, so
popping
leave me a
down,
message
is
and
all
I'll get back to you.
everything that goes on in your mind.
Hey man.
Yes. And earlier,
You had
Eugene
a
was pointing
power
out again,
outage or
he's making a phone
something.
call, but you are so aware of what's outside
I don't
the
know. I don't
glass
know what's going
windows,
on, but
and you're waiting for something to
I really want
appear,
to call me back as soon as
at
you
the
can.
glass.
Yeah.
but nothing does.
Scared the
Because
hell
remember
out
the
of me.
last one in Take Off Your Clothes? Something
Yeah.
was
just
outside.
when you get this, please
Yeah.
give me a call.
And in a lot of those slasher flicks, in a house this big, there's always going to be a
Yeah.
masked person walking outside your house. And then the reflection again, see? They always play on the reflection.
So it's like, this is a much lazier ghost than your usual, He's not going to appear 20 times, He's going to appear 3 times at the most,
The ghost, I don't think, if you think about that, trying to be as logical as logic can be, and see?
Oh. So this for me is the moment where if I was him, I would now start thinking supernatural.
But he's also at the same
Right?
time,
Up till now,
at the same time, he's doubting himself because did he really see the vase breaking or not?
Yes, because I don't think he's a superstitious character at all.
Yeah.
Right? So he doesn't watch horror movies like we do. So he's functioning like a very ordinary person, you know, trying to deal with something and not jumping to conclusions. Hence, he does not freak out, right? Never once did he think of leaving the house, for example.
It never occurred to him that it's a ghost.
No.
He still thinks somehow it's an intruder or his mind's playing tricks.
Yeah.
Something's not right, but he doesn't know what it is.
Correct.
And this running shower thing in the it's part psycho, part intruder horror, and then it twists an entire thing at the end to make it into a ghost situation.
I like that they updated the trope because in most horror films it's still shower curtains, right? But people hardly use shower curtains anymore. So this is a very nice modern alternative, right? The foggy glass.
Yeah.
You know?
Who's there?
Travis? What the hell? Why haven't you answered my calls? Where have you been?
Later we can talk about the strangeness of this ghost that
Thought I had a
decides
shower.
to take a
I
shower
didn't know you were home.
and mimic the brother.
Is
And
everything
exactly
okay?
what kind of
Yeah, no,
thing is
I'm
this?
alright.
Yeah.
I just heard
You know,
some
Like a
noise and I got
doppelganger
scared.
sometimes, huh?
It's mysterious. It's a very mysterious one. You know, if you put together all the different clues, it's quite strange.
So he's now like, then you give you a moment of like respite, like, okay, the horror is over.
Hey Mark,
And then it
it's
kicks you in the
Travis.
nuts.
I just tried to call you just a second ago, but you didn't hear me. So, but anyway, I'm on my way home now. Save me some of that pizza in the fridge,
Oh,
okay?
fuck. Oh, fuck.
See, the restraint. He's still not freaking out. He's not screaming.
Hey there.
He stays vulnerable to the end.
Hello?
But the fear is there. Oh, I can feel it.
Hello?
Yeah. Like just as it begins, we end, right? And it leaves you hanging. So this film is a terrific tease. You know, such a tease because he never quite reaches your level of fear.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very exciting. It's like this fantastic foreplay of a short film, you know?
And,
Quite shocked,
and because
quite
it's a
shocked.
short film, they don't bother with logic, plot devices, like trying to explain certain thing. They just hit you at every turn with something scary, and you just deal with it
Correct.
yourself.
Yeah. I mean, okay, since we are talking about logic here, right? Okay, let's take a moment to analyze the logic of this ghost, right? So, I mean, what do we know about this ghost?
This ghost, to me, is playful. She's not trying to hurt him or do anything. It's just more of just there to play.
Yeah, I mean, okay, first of all, she's flesh colored,
Yeah.
right? So she looks ordinary.
Yeah.
She's naked, okay? I was saying maybe it's not even she. It could just be the brother because, I mean, he's got really long hair. I don't see why his brother shouldn't have long hair
Fair
too.
enough. Yep.
You know, so we don't know, right? Right at the very end, you could still almost believe that it's not a ghost.
Yeah.
Right? Except that there's that Del Toro moment lah. That shadow, right? Yeah, where he's, clearly much taller than an average human being and, But then again, sometimes I do that too. When I'm walking along in the street and I just decide to be a ghost, yeah, sometimes I do,
Yeah.
So you don't know, right? I mean, if I tell you that it was his brother playing a prank, it could be. It could well have been, except that he's too blur to notice the brother, and so the prank kind
So
of
you
failed.
think Travis is the brother, or the ghost is the brother?
I mean, that's entirely possible. I don't think so, but it's entirely possible.
Oh.
So the scope of possibility here, right, is that we don't see the ghost doing anything that makes it absolutely a ghost.
I see. Okay,
Right?
I
It
get.
could just be a really asshole friend
That's true. That's true. Now that you put it that way.
who was waiting in the attic in the nude. Okay, I mean, it's not very logical, lah. Okay.
It could be in a hot pants or something. Just sticking the leg down and bring it back up. Yeah. So there's not one
So
point in the movie that the ghost actually was. He realized, the protagonist realized that it's a ghost at all. It's all us. It's all up here.
Yeah, so and if you want to be very specific, there's only one thing that happens that is truly supernatural, and that is the broken vase suddenly becoming unbroken.
Yeah.
That is the one thing.
Yeah.
The actual appearance of the ghost can be explained away by a human being.
Yeah. So what do you think? What
Right.
do you think? I mean, if you put some thought into this, the vase thing seems quite important to me. But I want to
Yeah.
believe that it's more than just trying to hint to the audience that there's something supernatural, because then that becomes very lazy already, right? So could it be that this spirit and him is
Yeah.
in two different timelines, and there is a bit of a crossover? So
That's an
right?
interesting possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you realize that the times where she appeared to him, it was the time where the vase was broken, and that was in a different parallel timeline. But when she finally got out of that timeline into the real timeline, she was in the shower, reacting with his
possible.
environment. So that could be the vase thing. Could be like, you know, the Inception where you twist the ring, just to give the
Yeah.
audience an idea that it's two different space.
But if you want to follow the timeline idea, it's also possible that at the end the timelines don't meet because we don't get to see what happens after the door opens.
Yeah.
Maybe he turns around and there's no one there.
Or maybe he falls in love with a ghost, you know, and it becomes a
Who
romance.
knows, right? So what I really appreciate, you know, with this particular film is
Yeah.
that the creators are so familiar with how horror movies work
Yeah.
that they're able to do a very restrained and subtle sort of job, you know, rather than sort of overplaying their hand all the time.
Yeah. Like
Right,
this
they know the
compared to
tricks.
the other one, the take off your clothes, that one where the
This
ghost
is more
appeared?
refined.
Yes.
This is more refined. That one is highly original.
Yeah.
This one is unique because it doesn't try to play everything 100%.
So that's why I picked
know,
this right after the last one, because there
Yeah.
there are some similarities. At the same time, it also emphasizes the difference between both films,
Yes.
and it scares
yes.
you differently.
And I think a common trend you will see is that, I mean, again, like you mentioned just now, right? What makes a horror film work is the protagonist. You know, so both times we had really good long-haired blondes, one male, one female. You know, and I mean, I really have to say again, you know, he takes you on a journey that is very unusual compared to other horror films.
Yeah.
You know, right? It's a journey of reasoning and trying to understand rather than a journey of freaking out.
Can you imagine the actress from Ghost Bride doing this? All right, let's go to our fans, confessors. See what you guys have posted there and commented for us.
Yes.
Eliza To says, pretty good, pretty good. Luke Quack says, the flowers suggest some kind of romantic element in the plot. See?
Oh, that's interesting.
All right. Thomas Lim says, I don't understand the meaning behind the shattered flower vase. Like what I mentioned, Thomas, I think it could be two parallel universes, and that could explain why it's cracked, and then in the other timeline it's not. But what do you think?
Geraldine thinks it's a hallucination,
Possible.
right? Which is quite possible, right? And I think that's what he might be thinking, right? Rather than freaking out, he's thinking, "What did I smoke? Or what pills did I take today?"
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And Elaine says the legs hanging down is the most scary of all. But why? It's just legs.
This is something interesting, okay?
Yeah.
And I haven't done the full research about this,
Yeah.
right? But when did this legs floating thing begin, cinematically speaking, right? In the Western tradition, they always talk about ghosts floating,
Yeah.
but they never talked about legs, right? It's always these white sheets, you know, white sheets floating,
Yeah.
right? That is the traditional thing. White sheet, no legs, floating.
Usually it's
right?
no legs. Right?
Yeah, correct. And I wonder where this idea of sort of suspended legs comes from, you know? And in my sort of viewing history, right, I remember very clearly the first time I saw floating legs was something which I'm sure all of you have watched, which is The Eye.
Floating.
Do you remember? 见鬼
The one at the lift,
by
huh?
the Tang brothers.
Is that the one at the lift?
The Hong Kong film? The old man in the lift.
Yeah, when he's floating towards him, right?
Yes.
Ah.
And that was the first time I realized, okay, you know, that's probably the default mode. You know, because nobody zooms in on the bottom part of the ghost,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, and I wonder whether that might have been the beginning for the rest of the cinematic world as well. You know, because suddenly after The Eye, you're very aware that they're always showing the ghost legs now, and they're always never touching the ground.
True.
You know, I've seen it in Thai movies, I've seen it in Korean movies, in Hollywood it started happening, you know. But at the same time, also, there have been a few murder thrillers, right, about murderers in the attic and themselves coming down that way also, right? You know, so this film sits exactly between horror and thriller.
And Esther Tan says, and I think Esther and a few others caught this, they say that the ghosts have shadow. So it's not really a ghost. What do you think? What's your take? Is this a cinematic budget or?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you can break a vase, it might have some sort of form, right? And you want to imagine that he has enough form to cause harm.
Yeah, and then again, this might also play into your previous hypothesis that it's actually his brother or someone who's just playing a prank on him.
Also possible.
Good catch,
You know?
Good catch, guys. Nora says, Nora Shikin, is this Nora Shikin from Loyang Secondary? It's so realistic and practical, and I think that's why it's even more freaky. Exactly. The ghost is clean. There's no like muddy footprints. It doesn't even look blooded, right? Like veins.
I was pointing out to Eugene that it probably took no makeup at all for the ghost to get ready. Just take off your clothes and get up there, right? You know? So it's such a shoestring film, yet so excellent. Because it doesn't try to do anything that it can't achieve.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very well controlled, very well executed. I love the balance of it, you know.
The figure is scary. Now, what is scary about this figure is I realized that there is almost absolutely no fat, balding ghost. Unless you talk about 13 ghosts, right? Then you have like the big size one. But most scary form, we're not even talking about outright in your face, you know, confirmed ghosts. Is when you see a silhouette of someone so thin, you know, or sinewy, and he's walking around in very odd angles, immediately your mind just goes hantu.
Yeah, I think it's about being skeletal, right, or as close to skeletal as possible. You know, and I mean that elongated Del Toro moment, you know, was terrific, right? And I think that really is the poster moment, lah.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, it gives you a very strong. Okay, you see, the first appearance, maybe he just wants to come out of the attic, right? And then suddenly, like, oh, you know, the staircase is the ladder's gone, right? So I go back up, right? The last appearance, well, he had a shower. He's coming out of the shower, but the one in the middle, he's clearly up to no good. Because whatever the hell it is, why is it walking around the house that way, right? That is not friendly.
Well, I mean, you know? give him a hug from the back.
Yeah, that's a really weird hug.
Luke Quack says he thought it was female, but on the second viewing, that figure looks male.
Yeah, it's a bit ambiguous. Kind of like the guy, you know.
I think it was
right.
I think this is deliberate because we always imagine that the ghost must be a female ghost, you know, or the protagonist, you know, the scream queen must be a long-haired blonde white woman, and in this show they kind of give you very vague gender fluidity thing.
Correct. You know, because and although they chose a guy that can be in many frames quite feminine in look, right? You see him in profile with his hair band up, very feminine, you know.
Okay, then Doors yeah, that's true. Before the shower, everything could happen in his mind. So probably doing drugs, right?
I appreciate. And again, I go back to lighting, right? I'm so obsessed with lighting, right? I'm just so impressed with, you know, the constant use of the shadowy room to walk into, or shadowy room that you came out from, and then you just give us that chance to freak out, right? So the ghost appeared 3 times, but you expected it at least a dozen times. You know?
That's true.
So
that's true.
You are making the film work. You know, which is fantastic. So it's not a film that manipulates you, but a film that invites you to scare yourself. You know, I love that.
Is it sexual harassment if the ghost disturbs you in the shower?
Well, he kind of disturbed the ghost first.
Okay. Let's see what Tim O says. Remember Tim O was the one who commented last week that the look on the lady's face was actually one knot of when we said it was horror, when we said, you know, she was, you know, in realization. Tim O says it's probably her thinking how to explain to the landlord that her wallpaper got burned down. And now Tim O says the ghost is of his brother, who he accidentally shoots with the gun. He's in a time loop, and now he's reliving the moment just before he kills his brother. The ghost has gone back in time to cause him to shoot him, and so it's a paradox.
But did he shoot him because the brother was trying to pretend to be a ghost in the first place? Was it a bad Halloween prank that went wrong?
So what's beautiful about Unanswered to me, why I rate it a 5-star is it can be a short film with a very low budget, but look at the amount of what ifs and could have beens and the imagination running wild in just the 20 odd messages that we have read. It's a show that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's kind of why I think they chose this title.
Unanswered?
Because it's not really about the phone call. I mean, yes, the brother didn't answer, but it's not about the phone call that wasn't answered. It's about the hundreds of questions you have after watching this, and there's no way to be sure, right?
Yeah.
So you are unanswered.
So it seems to me that, actually horror would be the cheapest way to make a film. Right?
Yeah.
No car chase scene, no explosion, nothing at all in 8 minutes, and you can just mindfuck people.
It's about atmosphere,
Yeah.
right? It's about atmosphere, and as this film teaches us, it's about restraint.
Yeah.
Right? When you have no budget, don't try too hard. Sometimes the simplest things work because let the audience freak themselves out.
Very nice.
Right? Earlier you mentioned campfire ghost stories,
Yeah.
right? That is like the cheapest entertainment in the world.
Yeah.
I just pay for marshmallows, and then I talk, and everyone else will freak themselves out.
Yep.
Yeah. So horror, I think, is the cheapest thrill ever.
Now, those of you guys who join us midway, you can always rewatch this movie again. This live stream will be there throughout. You can always click on it and play again, read all the comments. But don't go anywhere, because at the end of today's episode, we have a special bonus short film for you. It's only about 3 minutes long. We're not gonna dissect it for you. It's quite straightforward. But why we thought we want to include this as a bonus track is because last week in Ghost-Mortem 1, we talked about looking through a peephole, right? And this short film that we're going to show you at the end of today's session is titled Peephole. Okay.
And it really takes the peephole trope and spins it into this crazy, totally crazy and bizarre place.
Yeah.
So you'll never forget it after you watch it.
The soundtrack gets to me though. The music gets to me. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, you watch
Very
it.
addictive.
Shall we go specific to some scenes that you want to talk about, John?
Yeah. Let's look at that epic moment, right?
Epic moment. Okay, I'm gonna. You got a time? Wait, you gave me the time just now. Let me see. 2:45, guys. 2:45.
Oop.
Yep. Okay, let's do this. 2:45. Tell me when to pause.
Okay. And we're so interested in the box now, right? We're so interested in the box that we, for a moment, forget about the attic.
Yeah.
Because you went up into the darkness, and you were so sure something was going to happen. And this is probably, in the history of horror films, the shortest time that any character has spent in the attic.
Yes.
He literally was up there for like 2 seconds and then came out, and we're like, huh? What? And you're kind of disappointed, but then you think, okay, it's about the box. I'm curious about the box. What's in the box, right? And so now you're thinking about the box, and then suddenly the attic comes back to you. So there's such a sophisticated game that this director is playing with us.
And I'm not sure if this happened to you the first time round when I watched it. Because I was looking at him, he took my attention, right? The same thing like what you said.
Right.
I want to find out what's in the box. And then by the time the leg came down, like almost at this stage, then I realized, and then I got shocked. I didn't even see
so
the lower.
late.
Yeah, but I found that very refreshing, because it was not designed for it to be obvious.
Yes, absolutely not. Very subtle. So again, it's a tease, right? It's a tease.
It's I can almost imagine, like, you would watch it, you would miss it, and then your friend tell you about that particular scene with the legs. You go, huh? There's a scene with the legs, and then you go back and watch it again.
Yeah. So it's very subtle. It's very clever, And here you can see that very human-looking legs.
Yeah.
Extremely human-looking, right? Very, just normal flesh-colored legs, right? They could have gone for the usual pale white. They didn't, right? Yeah. And already here you start to get a sense that it's nude. Right? Because you expect your average ghost to have something long,
muddy,
Right.
you know, because she's buried alive, or something that is
Yeah.
not clean. This is like the cleanest ghost I've
Yeah.
seen.
It's so clean, it's so naked, you know, so it's very curious. It's very curious, you know. And I think that helps because it makes it a little bit surreal,
Yeah.
right? Because any of the other familiar things have now become real because they're so common. They're so common that they just become, you know, every day,
And the
right?
other-
But this strangely clean thing, you know, and sort of, is it floating or is it being lowered by someone else? Maybe it's a corpse
Quite fresh looking
that's
corpse,
being
huh?
lowered. Because it doesn't move.
Yeah,
You realize the
yeah.
legs sort of come down and they go up.
Mm.
You know, you don't know whether it's alive or not, right? So the more you watch it, the more questions you have rather than less.
And the gun thing was a very good idea because you would imagine that having a gun allows you to protect yourself. But as the audience, you know the gun is just a false sense of security. It's not going to do anything for him.
But such irony, right? That at the very moment that he finds his protection, we find out what's after him. You know, it's like, no point. Put it back. You know?
No, but see the thing, even if there's a ghost, like I put myself in the same position, right? Even if I know I'm dealing with a ghost, I know for a fact I'm dealing with a ghost. Having a gun in my hand or a knife in my hand or a weapon in my hand still makes me feel more comfortable than without.
Probably.
Right? Shall we go?
Probably.
Next scene, shall we go?
Okay.
433.
There's a second appearance of the ghost. Okay, go back a little bit. So brief, that appearance.
Chang.
And hold.
Passion of the Christ.
Nice. Looks a little bit taller, right? Can't tell, male or female. Right? Skinny.
Now that
long
we
hair.
are pausing on this screen, it looks more male to me now.
Yeah, a little bit, right? The waist seems a bit sort of, you know, trunk-like, right?
It's like one of those Kurt Cobain grunge era. You get, you know, it feels like it. Someone's on drugs too
Yeah,
much.
it's a fucker ghost.
Mm,
Yeah, you know, it's quite striking.
yeah.
But clearly, come on, that is. I don't think that's a hug. Okay.
What do you think? I mean, it looks like a heart. Okay. Well, I don't have much to talk about this scene because it really is one of the best scenes, but I can't really. There's nothing much to dissect it other than the fact that it's very playful because the music comes in, he walks out, the light flashes off. It's designed strictly, as I said, there's no science behind it. There's no art behind it. It's a science of scaring you, and that's it. That was what it meant to do, and it's successful in that.
But where the art comes in, though, again, right, is to look at the lighting.
Yeah.
Right? It's very, very beautifully lit because you've got side lighting on him and then back lighting for the ghost.
Yeah.
You know, and the room is not dark, actually. You can see the rest of the room.
Yep.
You know, so it's quite nice. Again, they don't overplay their hand by creating rooms that are artificially dark.
Then that kind you expect it already.
Correct. Yes, you know. So you didn't expect it because he's not in a dark room. There were darker rooms than this, right? He has walked into absolutely pitch dark rooms before turning on the light or, you know, with the torch and all that, and nothing happened. Here he is in a relatively orangey room, and you sort of don't expect anything, and then it comes.
It's very well played because the places you expect it to appear, it doesn't appear.
Correct. Correct. And again, if you think back to the attic,
Yeah.
right? The attic was dark, but when it came down, it was in a very bright storeroom, right? Yeah. So this director enjoys teasing you and then surprising you. You know?
Every time the ghost appears, it's always in bright lights.
Yes.
Like
Quite
in
remarkable.
this scene as well.
Yeah.
Full
Okay. Let's
full
look at.
on lights, no darkness, nothing whatsoever. Oh, see the face, see the acting.
I love that. I love that. Oh,
You blink
okay.
and it's gone. Okay.
So brief. I love it. Okay. Actually, quite masculine.
Yeah,
if
look
you
at
look
the
at the
arm, the biceps.
the bicep, right? Yeah. You know.
Oh no, not bicep. What's this
And I
thing?
just realized something.
Deltoids, maybe?
It came from outside the house, didn't
Yes,
it?
because when he first walked in, he followed him back.
So that was the first clue, right? So that kind of makes it a bit mysterious because what would come in from outside the house and straight away go up to your attic? You know? So yeah, that gives it a little bit of a strange teleporting kind of thing, you know?
But good hygiene, like you come back from outside, you take a shower. Yeah, but I like this scene. See, this one captures the fear for me. On the phone, the realization, the door opening,
Yeah.
you know, and then everything's coming to him at this point in time. And as the audience,
Correct.
you can see it.
And very restrained,
Yeah,
right? Like that expression is his most fearful expression.
Yes.
And that's brilliant. Brilliant. He never shows his teeth. He never.
No
Yeah.
scream, nothing.
And very little music also. You realize. So again, the whole film is just such an exercise in subtlety.
If you're not using your earphones, you may not realize that at the start of the show, when he's opening the fridge and sitting down, there's very distinct tick tock sound. The clock you can hear.
And you notice the clock later on in some of the living room shots. So it's kind of there, right? It's the only thing moving in the house. So again, very subtle, very controlled, very intelligent, I feel. So I really admire this film.
Okay.
They had a chance to do so much, but they chose the least and yet created the strongest impact.
So I want you guys to let us know in the comments, what do you think is this show about? Is it about a ghost? Is it about intruder? Is it about a prank, about a romance story? Or it could be like what Tim says is a paradox, a time loop, which is something that I subscribe to as well. It does seem like it. He's kind of stuck in that loop. We want to know what you have to say. And you know what, John? I'm going out on a limb here. Maybe we can compile all these comments that we have, and you could send this to the director and see whether he will.
That's a cool idea.
He may not say anything, or maybe he might even just appear on our show and give a shout out.
Right? Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite rare for them to get such a concentrated bunch of comments and discussion. And one thing I want to point out, right? Such an inconclusive sort of story. Okay, it's not even a story. It's just an encounter. Such an inconclusive encounter. You couldn't possibly do this as a feature film.
Nah.
Right? People will throw their popcorn at you and demand their money back.
Unless you get it's not easy but you can pull it off in a 9-minute show, 10-minute show, not in a full feature.
Exactly, right? When you try to do it long, it becomes like M. Night Shyamalan, right? And then you just get really angry and you curse and swear, right? But in 9 minutes you can totally leave it unanswered.
True.
And I think that's brilliant.
And now we have come to the end of Ghost-Mortem number 2. We have gone through 2 very good short films, and they're all very Western.
Both American, yeah.
I think the next one, what do you think, John? Should we hit them with an Asian one?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to explore Asian one, and I know 2 weeks in a row you guys have been asking us for Lights Off. We will
Lights
out. Someone said lights on,
out.
I said lights off, so it's lights out. Okay, we will get to that. The only reason we're not going to jump into Lights Out right now, because it is a very popular show, and we thought we were going to bring you some other good short films that you may not have watched before bringing a fan favorite.
Let's do the rare ones first.
Yeah.
I think the one that we might have, I think we've shortlisted something quite nice and Asian next week that is quite retro.
Oh.
Right? Which is a very familiar feel for those of you who grew up watching Hong Kong horror, of the 80s and 90s. You will certainly find this familiar, and I'm very nostalgic about it because they've stopped making these kinds of films in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since the last Hong Kong horror film. So watching this one really sort of brought a lot of those memories back, Like every moment reminded me of some other film too. That was fantastic.
Esther says she wants to see a Thai one. Okay, one day we'll bring the Thai one in.
It's not as common. They don't make as many good
short
ones.
Films,
But we're searching. But yeah, and then the Lights Out. We've actually dug up some other films by the same director, so we'll probably do a little mini Lights Out festival for you. Right, that'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. So, any last words to our fans before you see them again next week?
Yeah, I mean, feel free to keep commenting, right? I think keep the chat going, give us your theories, give us your opinions, right? This is a film that invites a conversation, so let's have that conversation, and then if you have other films that you've discovered on your own, please feel free to throw them at us. Maybe they're also the ones that we've thought of,
And now we're going to leave you with today's bonus movie called Peephole. Enjoy.
Peephole.
Supernaturals. Confessions.